So today we're going to make a not so traditional mapo tofu. So first, we're going to just mince the garlic and ginger. For one serving, I'm going to use about 4 cloves of garlic and about the same amount of ginger too. I already chopped some garlic over there and ginger. Just mince them. Doesn't have to be perfectly equal. Just has to be small enough. The reason why I said this is a not so traditional mapo tofu is because this is the recipe that I used while I was still in college. And you know, being a college student, you really want to save money where you can. So I used ingredients that are easy to find in my area and are fairly cheap. So I'm using chicken breast for our protein, not pork or beef. And you know, in my opinion, that's actually better because chicken breast is healthier, has less fat and more protein than pork or beef. It's not cheaper too. So yeah. And another reason why this isn't exactly traditional is because of the flavorings or pastes that I'm going to use later. Traditionally, you would use Tobandjan and Tianmianjiang, but I opted for a Korean chili paste and Korean bean paste. So once you get that finely chopped, I'm going to cut the tofu next. That's our tofu and our other flavorings. For the tofu, I'm aiming at least 50-50, so 50% tofu, 50% meat. And again, traditionally, you would use silken tofu, and you would boil that in salted water so it firms up. But I'm using firm tofu because again, this is cheaper and a lot easier to find in my area. Plus, since this is already firm, you don't need to do the extra step of boiling this so that it doesn't disintegrate in the sauce. So yeah, I just cut it into fairly large cubes. You want this to be sizable. You don't want that to be like really small because that is half the dish basically. It has tofu in the name, so you want to highlight the tofu. So yeah, and then I'm going to show you how I mince the chicken. This is chicken breast that I partially froze so that it's a lot easier to manage. Basically, you're going to butterfly the chicken. When you butterfly it, you just cut it from the side, and if you do it correctly, you should be able to open up like a book. And after you do that, I just slice it in the middle. Slice strips. Basically how you would dice a vegetable. You're just going to do the same thing for the chicken. If your butcher has minced chicken, it's fine to use that as well. The reason why I mince my own chicken is because I can be 100% sure that this is chicken breast all the way through. Because some minced chicken, they use leftover chicken that they couldn't sell, and so they just mince it. So it has like skin in it and other parts of the chicken like thighs, and yeah, that's fine. But if you're watching your calories and your macros, then you know chicken breast is the #1 protein to go. So I'm pretty sure that this is all chicken breast right there. Once you have that, just heat up a pan, oil. You can be generous with the oil because this dish particularly is oily. So about this much. And I'm gonna add our aromatics. I'm doing a cold start for this, which means I'm putting this in while the oil is still cold because it makes it so that you have better extraction of flavor. And turn down the heat so it doesn't burn. Basically, you're just gonna do that until the your aromatics are aromatic, until you start smelling the garlic and ginger. So the reason why I opted for these, again, they're a lot easier to find. This is basically gochujang, which is Korean chili paste and hot pepper paste, and doenjang, soybean paste. Traditionally, you would use Tobandjan, that's a chili bean sauce, and Tianmianjiang, which is soybean garlic sauce. If you're familiar with the brand Kum Kee, they sell those. So if you can find those, then use it, because that's more traditional. But since these ingredients are easier to find, that's what I use. So I'm adding the chicken now. And turning up the heat so that it browns faster. So while while I'm waiting for that, I'm gonna do some cleanup. While we're waiting for the chicken to cook and to brown, which is important, we're going to chop or slice our green onion. So I'm just letting this sit so that it burns a lot faster. I mean, it doesn't burn, it cooks a lot faster. It develops a fond a lot faster. Because if you keep moving, if you keep moving the chicken, you're not giving it a chance to develop that Maillard browning. It's a different story if you're using a wok, because wok burners, you know, they have that high pressure flame, which makes it so that you can get browning fast. But since you don't have that, this is what we do. So now I'm starting to see some browning in the chicken. I'd say this is good now. You know? Then we're gonna add our paste, our Gochujang and Doenjang. About this much. And then we're just gonna let it cook. Spread it around. At this point, you have to monitor this because these pastes, they kind of burn easily, so you have to monitor it. And you can see at the bottom, see that fond that's forming. That's good. If you get to this stage, I'd say it's safe to add water now. Okay, about that much. And scrape the bottom so you get all that wonderful fond. Then, this is optional, you know, you don't have to do this, but I like to add a chicken bouillon cube just to give it some extra flavor. Again, that's optional, you don't have to do that. And you notice that we haven't added any salt yet, and that's because our components are pretty salty already. So these two, they're kind of salty. The bouillon cube is pretty salty, and then we're going to add soy sauce, which is also salty. About that much. How much you want to add is basically just taste it. If it's not enough, if it's not flavorful enough, add more. So I'm going to taste now. Yeah. While we're waiting for that, we can make our slurry, which is just cornstarch and water. This will thicken up our sauce. People say it's equal parts cornstarch water. I don't really measure it. Now we're just going to reduce the sauce a little bit. Now while that's cooking, we can chop our greens. This is just green onion or scallion. The trick to making this look fancy is that you cut just at a slight angle. So this is just standing like that. You just slightly angle your knife and cut thinly. Now, I'm just gonna soak that in water so that it kind of curls up. Ideally, this should be ice water, but yeah, this works as well. So I think this is quite reduced. I still want a substantial amount of sauce here. It might look watery right now, but once you add the slurry, it's gonna be different. Which I'm going to do now. Just once you add the slurry, you have to mix immediately. Then I'm gonna add my tofu. Once you add your tofu, you have to be careful when mixing it so that you don't break the tofu. Then, taste test. Yeah, that's pretty good. This is just MSG. Just add a little bit of that. Again, one final taste test. I'd say that's good now. To plate this, basically, I just get a bowl and some rice. Might have overdone the water for this rice. But it's fine. And then we just spoon this over. Then, if you want to be a bit fancy, add your green onions like that. And there you have it. Not so traditional Mapo tofu.